0800 80 10 80 472 1035. Been talking about the banking situation here in New Zealand. Little surprised that no one is as worked up as I am about the fact that ANZ has just taken $2 billion out of the economy. David's called through on it. David, hello.
Yeah, g'day, Heather.
So now, am I right in understanding that you are the CEO of Co-operative Bank?
Yep, that's right. Yep. That was great to hear that text just before from someone who sounded like a customer at Stolen Virtues.
It also sounded like it might have been a staffer at Co-operative Bank. Hey, so what do you make of ANZ taking $2 billion out? Are the Australian banks ripping us off?
Yeah, well, look, the biggest story is it's not just $2 billion. The number is, for the industry, $5,000 million. So every year, $5,000 million of profit gets shipped across to Australia from ANZ, Westpac, ANZ and ASB.
Which is $5 billion, isn't it?
Yeah, $5 billion. Sounds more when it's 5,000 million, though. You can sort of relate to it a bit more, right?
Yeah, you can understand, because, I mean, that's like 5,000 Auckland houses, I suppose. How do you feel about that? I mean, the thing is, I can understand that we have to take as customers a lot of responsibility because we are just shoveling money into them. But I'm wondering if we should be looking at doing something like the Australians have, having a royal commission into the banking system. What do you think?
Well, that's interesting because, we've had the Reserve Bank and Financial Markets Authority doing the, visiting all the banks and so on, and they released their report at 2 o'clock Monday. So what they find will be interesting, but my gut feel is they'll find that actually banks in New Zealand do a pretty damn good job. All that said, though, we surveyed a whole lot of people recently and asked should there be a Royal Commission, and of those that had an opinion, about 80% said there should be. So it's sort of like there's a mood of public opinion if you ask them. But sort of this apathy thing where no one really cares too much. And I think an insight I got, I sat in on a research group last week, and we talked about 5,000 million of profit, and the person said, I think they captured this well. They said, it's just a number. It doesn't mean anything to me. I could understand 1,000 lunches in schools, but 5,000 million of profit just sort of is meaningless. And so you sort of have this, banks do a pretty good job in New Zealand. Satisfaction's pretty good. The internet banking works pretty well and so on. And so, as New Zealanders, it's sort of like we've got to care a bit more about the well-being of New Zealand, because I think it actually is about the well-being of New Zealand. We make $16 million of profit. Imagine if that was 116 and we could share that with customers like we do. So I think the thing is, as New Zealanders, we've got to care about doing what's right for New Zealand, and we're frankly not. So what will drive that? I'd love to know from people, actually, what will cause us to change banks, the likes of Co-operative Bank and Kiwi Bank and so on, because that's the difference that we collectively have to make, just like sustainability, the environment. You've got to care, and New Zealanders need to sort of care a bit more, because it does matter, I think. So
your problem is that you can't understand. Am I right in summing this up? You don't understand why Kiwis don't actually care enough and switch to New Zealand-owned banks to keep the money in the country?
Well, I sort of do understand, and that we get pretty good service from our banks. I mean, I know that most of the people that run the other banks, and I've worked at another big bank, and the experience is pretty good, and I think it is different from Australia.
Well, I would like to pull you up on that, because, for example, Tom sent me a text and said, Heather, I recently transferred a small amount from my BNZ Visa to another BNZ account and was charged $1 as it was treated as a cash advance. And I think that there are quite a few little chips here and there of cents, and dollars that are being charged of us for keeping accounts open that we didn't even know were open, and so on. I don't know that is necessarily great service.
Yeah. Well, you're right. It's quite good. And, that's what we find. We serve our customers and they just love us to bits. They use words like, I love you, I love my bank. And you don't get that with other banks. And I think it's because we care about that little stuff. But that little stuff sort of, at the moment, isn't amounting to enough to make people sort of change. And that said, 1 million New Zealanders have moved to Kiwi Bank in the last 15 years. That's pretty substantial. But, we'd like another million to move and actually move to our bank.
David,
yeah. So,
I've decided to let you turn this into an advert for the Co-operative Bank.
Yeah,
so,
great.
Can you please give me the top reason why anybody should switch from their Australian-owned bank to you?
Yeah. We're owned by our customers, and so unlike the big banks that are owned by shareholders who exist to make the most profit possible, we exist only for one reason, and that's to benefit our customers. So if you want to be a bank that exists to benefit you, then join us. And do it online. We've got some of the best internet banking in New Zealand.
Have you got a good app? Because Kiwi Bank's app is sort of like 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I'd rate our app the best in New Zealand.
Better than ANZ's app?
Way better.
Oh, I think I need to open a $5 account now just to find out whether what David's saying is true. David, thank you very much for calling. I appreciate it. That was David, the CEO of the Co-operative Bank, who was listening and decided to give us a tinkle. Look, the thing is, I got quite angry at the ANZ Bank last year because I thought their customer service was shite. And so I said to the guy on the phone, I said, oh, you know what? Bugger you guys. I'm going to go to Kiwi Bank. And I did. I really meant it, and I did it, and I don't regret it, and I am stoked that my money is going back into the economy. I haven't managed to quite extract myself from ASB, which I think is actually still a fairly decent Australian-owned bank. I still have some customer loyalty to them. I'm not really sure why. But if you are banking with an Australian bank, I challenge you to go to a New Zealand bank. Come on, it's not that hard. You turn up there, you say to them, here are my banking details. I want to open an account with you. They will do everything. All your direct debits, all your automatic payments, they'll switch it over, everything. It'll just be like a brand new bank, the same bank account, everything's tickety-boo, just with a new bank that you have to walk into and a new bank card. And we're helping New Zealand. I mean, we can't always say, oh, I wish things were better in New Zealand, when we continue to allow, as David said, $5,000 million to go overseas every year of our money because we're too bloody lazy to stop banking with the Australian banks. Come on, New Zealand, come on. Let's go to Kiwi Bank. Let's go to Co-operative Bank, SBS, TSB, take your pick. There are heaps there. Support your own people.